Welcome back to Prime News on HLN. There's a monster roaming free, and police are now turning to the public to find Summer Thompson's killer. Cops in Orange Park, Florida have released a profile of a possible suspect. Things to watch for here. Is it someone within that tight-knit community? Family and neighbors, they are outraged. Who could murder an innocent 7-year-old? Dump her body in a landfill like a piece of trash? Taking your calls, 1-877-TEL-HLN. Joining us, criminal profiler Brent Turvey. Also with us, Natisha Lance, producer from The Nancy Grace Show. Natisha, update us. Anything new in the search for Summer's killer?
Well, just like you said, Mike, investigators are now looking to the public to help them find the person who is responsible for Summer Thompson's death. Now, some of the things that they are saying that people in the public should look out for are unexplained injuries or cuts or bruises on a person, increased nervousness or irritability. And what they're saying is that there are people out there who they believe have information pertaining to this investigation, and they might not even know it. It could be something very simple and very small. They could know this person who is responsible for this, and they want to hear from as many people as possible. Now, they have said that they've had an increase of calls that have come in since they've released this behavioral profile recently, but they still do not have that final piece of the puzzle that's going to solve this case.
Okay, let's go to Brent Turvey again, criminal profiler. Brent, you hear this?
Yes,
I mean, is it that simple? Someone's change of behavior, change of appearance, a bruise, a cut? Could it be that simple?
It really isn't. This profile, as she's calling it, or as they're calling it, that's been released is very similar to those that have been released before in many cases throughout the years. In fact, this particular profile has its origins back in the 1980s. It's the kind of standard stock response that you give when you really don't know what happened. And I think that's a fair comment here. We have a lot of investigating that still needs to be done. We need to know, was she put into a dumpster that was transported to the landfill, or was she taken to the landfill? We need to know, has the victim's house, has that been treated as a crime scene? They're collecting evidence from there to compare back. So what are the other steps that are being taken? At the break, there was a mention of it might be maybe be somebody that she might know. That's really important. Making the timeline of the last known activities, doing that friends and family list, running through those names, trying to eliminate as many people close to home as possible, so that we can focus on a parallel investigation of a possible stranger, because those are less common. The stranger crimes are far less common.
From what you've seen, what we know, I mean, are you seeing serial killer who's done this before?
No, I'm not seeing that at all, which is kind of amazing that we're hearing that from people in the media. I'm not seeing a lot of skill or competence. What I'm seeing is a very immature sort of TV-like behavior of putting the body in the garbage. In fact, if you're a competent, skilled serial offender, where you're going to dispose of a body is as far away from people and the potential of discovery as possible. Putting a body in a landfill, that's a lot of risk. Again, we don't know whether it was put in a dumpster that got taken there or was actually put in the landfill itself, but you're taking a risk that you're actually going to have the body be identified, that you're going to be seen. When you're doing things in the city, there's obviously a chance of being seen by witnesses along the route. There's a chance of being videotaped because dumpsters tend to be associated with businesses.
Right.
So there's a lot of risk there.
Okay.
And somebody who's skilled and proficient, who's done this before, wouldn't necessarily want to take those risks.
Interesting. Natisha, Brent's talking a lot about that landfill. Are they still going through the garbage? I hate to even talk about it. This is where little Summer was found, but it's a landfill in Georgia where her body was found.
Right. There are items that they have found at that landfill that they have taken to the crime lab in Jacksonville, and they have moved this to the top of their list. Now, he was also talking about whether or not she was taken to the landfill or was she transported there. What we do know is that she was in one of those trucks, one of the 9 trucks that had 25 tons of garbage in each one of them. They have narrowed it down to the truck that she was in and then eventually dumped at the landfill. So she wasn't placed at the landfill, she was transported there.
Okay, I believe we have a call from Paula in Massachusetts. Hi, Paula, your comment or question here?
Hi, Mike. I was wondering, 2 days ago there was a report of an armed robbery at the child's home the day that her body was found. I haven't heard any more about that. Could you tell me anything?
Natisha, can you update us on that? Had you heard that report?
There were some reports of that. We did ask the public information officer about that, and they said that it was an actual computer error, that because someone had this address on their mind so much, they put in the wrong address.
Okay, gotcha. Let's hit on one other thing before we go, Natisha. The vacant house where authorities, we assume, we're gathering evidence. Are they still looking over that home?
That home has been cleared at this point. There was evidence that was collected there, as well as the park that was across the street from there. In that park, Mike, I think that we've talked about before, there is a bathroom that is connected to that park. There's a men's room, there's a women's room. They also collected evidence from that men's room. So once again, it's still at the Jacksonville Crime Lab.
Gotcha. Okay. Guys, thanks again. Letitia, Brent, we appreciate it. Coming up, a jury says Louisville slugger, the maker,